Welcome one and all to our annual service honoring the memory and spirit of Martin Luther King Jr. We are blessed that so many of you have come to join us in prayer, reflection, and song. How fitting it is that tomorrow, in our Jewish cycle of Shabbat Torah readings, we begin reading the Exodus story, one of the greatest accounts of revolution, of liberty, freedom, and justice. The story which opens with a new king in Egypt who knew not Joseph. Paranoid and afraid for his people and their survival, this Pharaoh brutally imposed upon the Israelites crushing servitude, ruthlessly making their life bitter with harsh labor. Finding that insufficient, he spoke to the midwives Shiphrah and Puah, saying, "When you deliver a Hebrew woman, look at the birth stool. If it is a boy, kill him. If it is a girl, let her live." The midwives, though fearing God, did not do as the king of Egypt had told them, and they let the boys live. These two women of Exodus feared God. They chose to bravely engage in civil disobedience, presumably with little power in the imperial system. They put themselves at great risk to defy official orders. Where did they find this strength of disobedience to defy the king? And where did their spirit of God emerge? Where do we, each of us, find this ability to stand up against injustice? Where do we hear the call and feel the spirit of the divine? I believe it comes from moments like this, when we gather to find strength in our collective voices, when we come to honor the memory of Martin Luther King Jr., who fearlessly engaged in civil disobedience to lead this country towards greater justice and equality. And when we come to pray, to locate the voice within that draws our power to do what is right in the face of injustice and to do what is just in the face of prejudice. Prayer is foundational to our faith communities. It is, as Abraham Joshua Heschel offered, exceedingly urgent and exceedingly relevant, an ontological necessity. Prayer is what creates a home for our soul. It is where we find the strength and courage to stand up for what is right. It is the way each of us, individually and collectively, bring God into the world, establishing God's sovereignty and expanding God's presence. Prayer is our ability to discover the power within and turn that power into actions that shape and heal our broken world. May tonight's service bring us such concentration. May we find the means to mend all those whose lives have been broken from our recent fires. May we gain strength in our collective to heed the word of our God and heal those shattered souls and bring about a coming redemption in our lives. We say to all of us, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. We begin our evening with Greater Zion Choir to lead us. Lift every voice and sing.
Ring with the was beautiful. Shabbat Shalom. Nearly 62 years ago, on a hot August afternoon in Washington, D.C., an estimated crowd of 250,000 people marched at the National Mall in D.C. That summer day is best remembered for Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech. But prior to him taking the podium, many artists sang protest songs from that very podium. Bob Dylan, who had taken the folk scene by storm just 2 years earlier, the age of 20, he was only about 22 in 1963. He performed 4 songs, including his huge hit, Blowing in the Wind. In 2005, Bob Dylan reflected on that day. Quote, "I looked up from the podium and I thought to myself, I've never seen such a large crowd. I was up close when King was giving that speech. To this day, it still affects me in a profound way." Why did a march whose purpose was to advocate for the civil and economic rights of African Americans feature musical performances from Bob Dylan, Joan Baez, Peter, Paul, and Mary, and more? Music creates moments of unity. Whether it's a protest anthem or a song that captures the spirit of the times, music brings us together, fostering a shared sense of purpose and solidarity. Music has the power to mobilize listeners and turn awareness into real efforts for positive change. Martin Luther King Jr., members of the civil rights movements, they knew the power of music. They knew that music had the power to take roots into our souls, inspiring us to take action to create a country and a world filled with liberty and justice for all. Psalm 95, which we are about to sing, it opens with the words in Hebrew, Lechu Niranana, let us go and sing. Let us raise our voices together, singing the praise of God. Let us fulfill God's commandments to create a world filled with love and compassion and justice, a world filled with equal rights for all. Singing unites us. This evening, I invite all of us to raise our voices in harmony, to strive to make Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream a reality. When we sing together, we are united. When we sing together, we have the ability to change the world. I invite all of us to open up the Sidurim, our prayer books. You can find it either in front of you or beneath your seats. Will look like this. We'll open the book right to left, page 11, Lechu Niranana. Continue singing together on page 13, Psalm 96, Shir Adonai Shir Chadash. Come, let us sing a new song to God.
Adonai, Shir Hadash, Shirul Adonai, Ga'aretz, Shirul Adonai, Baruchu Shemo, Basru Meyom Yom Yeshuato. Sing a new song, sing a new song. Wonders abound. Sing a new song, a glorious sound. Sing a new song unto the Lord. Sing a new song, praise His name. Praise this His glory, His wonders abound. Sing a new song, a glorious sound. Ah, yeah. Not glorious sound. Sound. It's a glorious, glorious, glorious sound. Sing a new song unto the Lord. Sing a new song, praise His name. Praise His glory, His wonders abound. Sing a new song, a glorious sound. Sing it with us. Sing a new song. Sing a new song unto the Lord. Song, praise His name. Praise His glory, His wonders abound. Sing a new song, a glorious sound. A glory. A glorious sound.
Exactly what Rabbi Mendelson was talking about. What is Shabbat but a small taste of the next world, the world to come? What is Shabbat but an opportunity for us to experience for just a moment a break from the chaos that exists out there, and to remember why we are put on this earth, to make this world into God's perfection. Shabbat is that taste. And the mystics of Sfat understood that when they created this prayer, Lecha Dodi, on page 23, where they actually went out and brought the Sabbath host in, the queen, the bride, and said, you are the means by which we can taste that world to come. We're going to sing Lecha Dodi. You're going to recognize the melody. It's not one that was created by the mystics of Sfat in the 16th and 17th century. I guarantee you it wasn't. But you'll recognize the melody, and if you want to follow along in the words on page 23 and 24 and 25, we're going to be doing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. And see if you can recognize this lovely melody.
may be seated. It's my pleasure to welcome Pastor Rod Hines from Shepherd of the Valley Lutheran Church right here in West Hills. Welcome.
Shabbat Shalom. Dear brothers and sisters in faith, the question is, what does it mean to come together? I dare to say that it means that dreams can become a reality. As we gather tonight in this sacred place, we honor the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a man who embodied the spirit of interfaith, unity, justice, and simultaneously lifted up our hearts to God, who is at the root of why you and I are here even now. Dr. King once said, we can all get more together. We can all get more together than we are apart. Our presence here as diverse members of God's family is in the middle of the most difficult times in our community is a testament to Dr. King's vision of the beloved community. In Galatians 3:28, we are reminded that there is neither Jew nor Gentile, neither slave nor free, nor is there neither male or female, for you are all one in God. This unity and diversity is what we celebrate today. This unity and diversity is what we celebrate today. I'm sorry, I'm from a different tradition, so sometimes we say things over and over again when we feel them. This unity and diversity is what we celebrate today, all right? So as we stand together in this synagogue, we are living out the prophet Isaiah's words, "My house shall be called a house of prayer for all peoples." Our gathering is a powerful symbol of hope and solidarity, especially for our neighbors affected by the recent fires here in our community. Dr. King taught us that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. I don't know about you, but I see our interfaith community as a beacon of light in these challenging times. I see us called to be the hands and feet of God in these interesting times. I feel compelled to reach out to those in need regardless of their faith or their background. Let us draw strength from Micah 6:8, which asks us to do justice, love kindness, and walk humbly with our God. But I dare to say we do it together. This is the essence of Dr. King's message and the foundation of our interfaith work. And so tonight, as we leave this place, may we carry the spirit of unity and purpose. Let's carry the spirit of shalom with us. Let us work together to build bridges of understanding, to fight against injustice, and to create a world where all God's children can live in peace and dignity. Someone once said, alone, we can do so little. Together, we can do so much. God bless.
Thank you, Pastor. We're going to rise. We're going to turn to page 39A for the call to worship, the Baruch Hu. If Hebrew is not a language you know, just lie. Just sing. It doesn't matter. We're together. standing for our watchword of our faith, Shema, page 41. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha vehayu hadevarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uvelechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot beinenecha uktavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha. You may be seated.
In Hebrew, the word miracle is nes. Many of us know that from the holiday of Hanukkah that we just celebrated. Nes doesn't translate like we think of miracle. It means a sign. It's a sign of God. When the Israelites were walking through that sea, do you think they thought to themselves, oh, look, it's high tide? Do they think they walked through and they said, I wonder what phenomenon of nature caused these waters to part for us? You think they thought about what it was that led to that moment that was not supernal and godly in nature? Right? They felt God's presence with them. So often we walk through life and we think logically and we try to understand things and we lose that sense of faith. We forget that God is walking with us. And the Israelites, they felt that. Those are the words of the Song of the Sea, giving gratitude to God. Who is like unto you, O God, among the mighty? You will find the Michamocha, this introduction, on page 44.
think the choir can be seated, I think. We're here to remember the life of Dr. King. That's not enough. We're here to honor the life of Dr. King. That's not enough. Pastor Hines, we're here to celebrate the life of Dr. King, but I'm going to tell you, not enough. Right? We must be here tonight to recognize that it is our obligation. The Jewish tradition, we talk about a mitzvah, an obligation to see his dream fulfilled. Right? It is not yet fulfilled. That's what we're here tonight to talk about. He dreamed of a world in which his 4 little children would one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. We have not yet achieved that dream. We're here tonight to acknowledge that it is our obligation to help fulfill that dream. In a remarkable synergy of the African American traditions and Jewish traditions, when we celebrate the birthday of Dr. King, at this time of year, we are in the cycle, as Rabbi Camras mentioned, of the Exodus. And because of the vagaries and the time of the lunar solar calendar, the Jewish calendar, sometimes it's the beginning of that story, sometimes it's the middle of that story, and sometimes it's the end of that story. It acknowledges there's a narrative. This connection is particularly significant for African American leaders, activists of the civil rights, who saw parallels between the struggle for freedom and the Israelites' journey of liberation. Right, the demand of Moses to Pharaoh, let my people go. That became the call of the civil rights movement, right, to end systemic racism, segregation, discrimination. The message of the Exodus was a prayer for new liberation from oppression. The Jewish community knows about hatred. And we know that hatred towards any one group will lead towards hatred towards everyone else. We know it's just the beginning. We know that our fates are tied, and if you begin to think it's just about someone else, you don't understand the nature of humanity and relationships and people and life. No form of hatred should be tolerated. Dr. King had a style and a cadence of speaking that captivated a nation. The style and cadence is often found among preachers within the African American churches. It's a sing-song, a mellifluous sound that rocks your soul. When I hear my friend Pastor Fisher preach, I not only hear your words, I feel those words. In a little bit, we're going to hear from Pastor Fisher, but first, we're going to hear from the words of Dr. King. There's a Jewish tradition in which we still to this day read the words of our prophets thousands of years later. In services that we hold on Shabbat morning, tomorrow morning, and on holidays, we read from the sections of the prophets of the Old Testament. We read their words because they still resonate today. We read their words because they called for things and they chastised and they challenged in ways that we still need to be chastised and challenged. And when we read those words, we have our own special melody and cadence that we read to. And those of you who've ever been to a synagogue know the Haftarah melody. That's what we call the moment when we read the prophets. It's called Haftarah. And a special melody that is just for hearing the voice of those prophets. Well, some time ago in the Jewish tradition, a rabbi and a cantor got together, and they decided to create a Martin Luther King Jr. Haftarah. They took the words of Dr. King and put to it the cadence, the Haftarah trope of the Jewish tradition.
The Haftarah, the Jewish community knows about when it comes to eliminating hatred and bigotry, we are not yet in the promised land. The end of the Haftarah that Hazzan Joel Smith is going to recite in a moment, the very ending section is that part of the last speech of Dr. King about that promised land. You know it. For Dr. King, he talked about being on the mountaintop, seeing that promised land. For Dr. King, images of racial equality and justice. The imagery reflected the Israelites' journey towards the promised land, a symbol of freedom and fulfillment of God's promise. Moses got to look into the land. He could see it, but he never got to see his people enter into that land. Dr. King could see that promised land, but we're not there yet. It's our job, our obligation, to know that we're still on that journey, to pledge ourselves to work towards the fulfillment of that dream. The words of the MLK Haftarah recited by Hazzan Joel Smith.
We are on the move now. The burning of our churches will not deter us. We are on the move now. The bombing of our homes will not dissuade us. We are on the move now. The beating and killing of our clergymen and young people will not divert us. We are on the move now, like an idea whose time has come. Not even the marching of mighty armies can halt us. We are moving to the land of freedom. I believe that unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word in reality. This is why right, temporarily defeated, is stronger than evil triumphant. I have the audacity to believe that peoples everywhere can have 3 meals a day for their bodies, education and culture for their minds, and dignity, equality, and freedom for their spirits. I still believe that one day mankind will bow down before altars of God and be crowned triumphant over war and bloodshed. And nonviolent, redemptive goodwill will proclaim the rule of the land. I still believe that we shall overcome. We've got some difficult days ahead, but it doesn't matter with me now, because I've been to the mountaintop and I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to have a long life. Longevity has its place, but I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will, and He's allowed me to go up to the mountain, and I've looked over, and I've seen the promised land, and I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
That was powerful. That was the first time I've heard that. Thank you, Hazzan Smith. That was really beautiful. At this moment, we're going to all rise for a private moment with the divine, with God. God understands any language, any form of prayer. But we know that prayer is not easy. Every time in Judaism, before we begin our formal prayer, the Amidah, the standing prayer, we ask God to open up our lips so our mouths may speak God's praise. This comes from the book of Psalms, written by King David. King David himself struggled at times to open up his mouth to sing God's praise. And that's okay if prayer is hard for all of us. It was hard for King David. But as our rabbis say, we need prayer in our lives. Without prayer, we cannot fulfill Dr. King's mission. For equality for all, for everyone to have 3 meals every day, access to education, access to health care in this country and in this world. So I invite all of us, just a couple of moments after Hazzan Stein sings Open My Lips, to open up our lips, to offer our own prayers, and to know that it's going to take all of our prayers together, all of us unified together to take action to fulfill Dr. King's dream. Continue page 47. It's on the handout. It's also on the handouts, top of the second page.
David prays for forgiveness for his sin. And if he survives, David HaMelech, King David, will sing praises of God's righteousness. God, open my mouth, and my praise for you will pour out like water. What we have to offer to you, God, is our hearts and our souls. As we return to you, I open my lips so that I may praise your glory.
We'll continue now with our own private prayers to God. You can follow along in the Hebrew, the English, pages 47 through 52, or offer up your own personal prayers to the divine.
is one, we will be sure, we will be sure. Oh, glory, 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 oh, glory, glory.
Yeah. Ain't nothing greater than the feeling of knowing that you're done wrong, but you still love. Cause God look past every last one of my flaws. So when it's time for praise, I'ma give it my all. And I don't hold nothing back. The devil had me till one day I said enough of that and gave my life to Christ and told him take control. This is important to me, but you already know that.
One day, when the glory comes, it'll be ours, it'll be ours. One day, when the war is won, we will be sure, we will be sure. Oh, glory, glory, oh, glory, oh, glory, glory, oh, glory.
I gotta give him praise for everything that he done for me. Thankful that he Marvin Sapp, that he saw the best in me. Even through the ugly, the bad, and the good, he never ever judged me because he always understood.
Now the war isn't over, the victory isn't won, but we'll fight on to the finish. And when it's all done, we'll cry glory, glory, oh, glory, oh, glory, oh, glory. Whoa, one day, when the glory comes, it'll be ours, it'll be ours. One day, when the war is won, we will be sure, we will be sure. Oh, glory, glory, oh, glory, oh, glory, glory, oh, glory, glory.
We gotta make a difference, we gotta make a change. We come from different walks of life, but we all bleed the same. We gotta make a difference, we gotta make a change. We come from different walks of life, but we all bleed the same. We gotta make a difference, we gotta make a change. We come from different walks of life, but we all bleed the same. We gotta make a difference, we gotta make a change. We come from different walks of life, but we all bleed the same.
One day,
Yeah.
when the glory comes, it'll be ours, it'll be ours. One day, when the war is won, we will be sure, we will be sure. Oh, glory, glory.
I want to thank the Greater Zion Choir. Not like you just came from down the streets to be able to sing for us. For those of you who made the traverse through the freeways and everything that we have here in Los Angeles, a lot of gratitude and to be able to be together. Not an easy drive to Compton. I've made it a number of times, my friend, haven't I? And it's my pleasure always, and our community loves to hear from Pastor Fisher. He is not just a colleague in the clergy, not just a friend, but over these years of standing together, he's become a brother, and it's my honor to be able to welcome you to our new facility, our new place, Hamakom, the place, by the way, the place for love, the place for sharing. Hamakom, also in Hebrew, another name for God, the place where you find God. Welcome, Pastor Fisher. Give him a hand, please.
Shabbat shalom. Well, I do want to, before I even begin to say anything, I do appreciate and love and am honored by the long time camaraderie, fellowship between Rabbi Vogel and also Hazzan Stein. It's now been about 12 years that we've been doing this. And so we give all praise to God for that. And then I appreciate my young people for getting off work and getting through the Red Sea of the 405. So if y'all don't mind, I need you to clap your hands and really give it up for them. To Pastor Hines, who they said he's Lutheran, and I said he's Baptist. Demanding amens. And to all the rabbis that are here, we are upon interesting times, aren't we? And it seems like every year when I come, it's interesting times. I don't know, do I come next year? It's the first time that I greet you without writing something down. The first time that I was in New York just this time last night, just trying to really wrap my mind around what would I say today. And the only thing that kept swirling in my mind was the horrific fires that we have seen on last week. Something that this city has, at least since I've been alive, I haven't seen it on that magnitude. The closest to it may be the Malibu fires back in the early 90s. But I haven't seen anything that horrific before in my life. On top of the terrorism, on top of the kidnapping and the hostages, on top of anti-Semitism, on top of our young black college students getting text messages telling them the day after Trump was elected that there'll be a van waiting for them outside to take them back to the cotton field. On top of all of that, then we have a fire. If you're not careful, Rabbi Vogel, it will begin to cause you to spiral just a little bit in thinking that all is lost. But then you have to remember the kind of God we serve. I love a principle that we learn in theology called the law of first mention. It is a principle that says that how we usually, as we study the Bible, how you meet the character, the deity, the person in the Bible, the first time normally tells you the nature of the individual throughout the entire scripture. Isn't it something that according to the Bible, the Torah, that we meet God, as I've said many times, we meet him handling chaos. For the earth was without form, or the earth was in chaos. And God steps forward and speaks to that chaos and says, "Let there be light." Scientifically, light is the combustion that happens when several different molecules all at once rush together and cause this explosion, if you will. From all different sides of space and the cosmos, they all rush together, and when they meet in the middle, boom, and there is light. We meet him handling chaos with combustion. We find him again with dealing with Moses. And Moses' life is getting ready to change forever. And one day, I'm just speaking parenthetically, he's out watching the sheep, minding his business, and he sees something off in the distance, and he meets God in a bush that's on fire. That fire, which according to many other people see as a destructive force, we see God using it again to now pivot a man's life forever and send him on a trajectory that would set Israel free. Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego. We see them getting ready to shake old King Nebuchadnezzar to the core when God uses a fire that this time had been turned up 7 times, hoping that at this level of heat, they would be destroyed. And all of Israel would know that Nebuchadnezzar was nothing to mess with. But he did not know that we serve a God who masters and uses fires. I'm not saying at all that God caused the fire, and I'm sure it grieved his heart to see what took place on last week. So much devastation. But what I propose to us, whether Christian or Jew, whether the studier of New Testament, Bible, or the Torah, I submit to us that we have the right to grieve, but we don't have the right to grieve as those that do not have hope. I submit to us that just like Dr. Martin Luther King, that we look beyond the present destruction, the demise that's happening in our world, that not just the Palisades or Altadena experience a fire, but our social climate is on fire. Our government is on fire. And it seems like morality as a whole is on fire. But we've all gathered here tonight on this wonderful Shabbat because we know that we serve a God that can use the fire. I came here on tonight to just remind us that we are called to be the light in the midst of darkness. That while the world is falling to pieces, we have to stand firmer now than we have ever stood before and declare that all will be well. In the forest, as much as they hate to see fires come, in the forest with the pine, the only way for the pine to release its seeds so that more trees will grow, it's the fire. The fire causes it to open up in a way that releases the seed, because if the seed doesn't get released, the forest ultimately will die. I hate to see what is happening in our world. However, Rabbi Vogel, I submit, as you talked about, it's not good enough to celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King. It's not good enough to just honor Dr. Martin Luther King. That I do agree with you, my friend. It's not good enough to just do that. But I believe that God felt the same way. I believe that God feels the same way. I believe that God knows that it's time for us to leave our churches and our synagogues and begin to be like the seeds that are in the pine and begin to spread the knowledge and the wisdom that we've all studied in the scriptures and we've all studied in the Torah and begin to make the dream a reality. It's an interesting thing that when I've studied and I researched, the one time that God, and the oftentimes that God really gets upset as I close, is when we practice idolatry. Idolatry is an interesting thing because idolatry is when we look to an individual and we believe that only that individual could be the one that could bring to pass the will of God. Me being a proud black man, I stand strongly and declare that if we're not careful, if all we do is reflect on the dream, if all we do is every year come together and have a holiday and a parade, if all we do is every year come together and sing old Negro spirituals, just so that we may connect. Just for one weekend, that we have idolized Dr. Martin Luther King. That we have made him into an idol, and all we will do is remember what could have been, not realizing that God had no intentions of him actually seeing it through. The vision was too big for him. The vision was too big for one's generation. The vision, the dream, was for all of humanity to embrace it and then move it forward. If we are serious, as I take my seat, if we are serious about this dream, then we must recognize that the fire that is taking place, although it was horrible to see last week, we also saw it force people out of their neighborhoods. We saw the fire force people to sleep all under one roof. We saw the fire force people to take off work and buy water and to care about the humanity of one another. It had nothing to do with people's social class and how much money they made, or whether they were black, or whether they were white, or whether they were Jewish, or whether they were non-believer. It did not matter. The fire made us all come out of hiding. And I submit to us that even though we begin to rebuild our homes and our houses, I pray that we don't rebuild walls. I pray that every single one of us that are in here, that we take up the duty that if we're talking about that we want to change policy, then that means we have to write our Congress members, that we have to stand against stereotypes, that when individuals begin to talk about your brother and sister, you immediately tell them we will not have that kind of conversation. That's the dream that Dr. Martin Luther King is talking about. That when it comes time for funding to come down, rolling down the smoky hills, when it's time for money to be passed out, that we make sure that Altadena gets the same treatment as Pacific Palisades. That we make sure that those that do not have the political advantage, that their voices are heard in rooms that they will never step into. And if we do that, if we truly do that, then therefore we can agree that the dream was not just to be dreamed, that it was to be walked out. And so I pray that all of us will bind together, which is the reason why I made my young adults come tonight. Not just to sing, not to just perform, not to just do a selection with a nice little rap. I need this next generation to understand that we are called to bring this dream to pass. And when we do that, truly God will get all of the glory, all of the honor, and all of the praise. Thank you all for your time. Thank you for this moment. God bless you. Shabbat Shalom.
I'm so glad you all came from Greater Zion. Give them a hand again. Just it would be easy to let distance divide us, wouldn't it? It would be easy to let the 101 and the 405 keep us apart. Right? It would be easy to let society tell us we're the West Valley, Calabasas, and you're Compton. But that's not what it's about. Compton is a light. When you talk about the fire, I know you light a fire in Compton. I know that you light a fire in your congregation to let them know that we cannot do this alone. We can't do this alone. We can only do it coming together. The only change systemically will be when we come together. We have to have that epiphanal moment. I'm reminded the senior Michael Luther King had an epiphany in a moment. A trip to Germany, 1934, in which he understood that he had to experience and change himself and became Martin Luther King Sr. And already born, his son went from Michael King Jr. to Martin Luther King Jr. To be able to experience that moment, to see that burning bush and to know that we are called, that is the need for all of us. In the Jewish tradition, we we affirm life even in the face of death, and especially in the face of death. We affirm life. Those are, it's a tradition at the end of Jewish worship services for those who are remembering a loved one to recite the words we call the mourner's Kaddish. It's actually words of affirmation in Aramaic that speak of how sanctified and glorified is God in each and every day of our lives. So in our community of Hamakom, or anybody that's visiting here, is there anybody who is celebrating what we call a yortzeit, who's acknowledging the yearly anniversary of a passing? If you are, I'd like you to rise. Just those people acknowledging the yortzeit. And just as I point in your direction, if you'll give the name of the person, the relationship, just so that we can honor them. Okay. Mr. Wiederhorn, next. Okay. Back. Okay. The back, Hardy. You're all for your, yeah. A blessed memory, which we remember her well. May her memory always be a blessing. Judy. Okay. Jeff. Okay. Okay. Fumani. Okay. We're also mindful in our community, remain standing. Those of you who are going to be reciting the Kaddish, we're also mindful of the recent bereavements in our community of Michael Friedman, father of Orrin Friedman. We also acknowledge the passing of Roger Eade, the father of Allison Gordon. At this time, anyone and all who have the desire or need to recite the mourner's Kaddish, you're invited to rise, page 58. Page 58. Those reciting these words of affirmation and memory and life, we join together. Yit Gadal, V'yit Kadash, Shemei Rabbah. Amen. V'alma divrach Yerutei, V'yamlich malchutei, V'chayechon, V'yamechon, V'chayei, V'chol Beit Yisrael, V'gala, V'bizman Kariv, V'meru. Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mavorach, L'olam Omei Omaya. Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, V'yitpa'ar, V'yitromam, V'yitnaseh. V'yitadar, V'yitalev, V'yitalal, Shemei Dekudashah B'richu, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, Damiran v'alma v'meru. Amen. Yehei shlamat rabat min shemaya, V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'meru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, Hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'meru. Amen. Like many of our prayers, we end with a prayer for peace. So, Seh Shalom B'Romav, please, God, bring that shelter of peace over all of us.
Amen.
choir can be seated just for a couple of moments. I want to thank Pastor Fisher for that really, really powerful, beautiful message. And I want to invite all of us here at Hamakom, or if you're visiting, that one Sunday in the near future, we are going to go down to Compton, hear Pastor Fisher preach.
Yes, thank you.
So we need it. We need to come together to unify together all across faiths here in this beautiful city of angels. So there'll be some more information on our visit shortly. But it's my pleasure to invite Fatema Baldiwala, who wrote an original poem about who was Michael King. As Rabbi Vogel shared just a few minutes ago, that was his original name. Fatema from Ezi Masjid. It's my pleasure to invite you.
Who was Michael King? Martin Luther King was an alias, a moniker, mightier than Michael's meek beginnings. Michael, Mikael, a name woven in whispers of wonder. In Hebrew and in Arabic, it hums with harmony. Mikael, the angel of mercy, summoning silver-laden skies, rain drumming on dry earth, a symphony of sustenance, a melody of manna. Like Mikael, Martin became a maker, an architect of abundance, a dreamer of dignity. With a voice like a storm and words sharp as swords, he shattered silence with a resounding refrain. America's check stamped insufficient funds was the loudest lie ever told. In the fertile fields of justice, where rain becomes rivers, he planted the seeds of equality, nurtured by the downpour of dreams deferred. True equality is not just a flame of fairness, but the fire of shared prosperity. Thank you.
Thank you, Fatema Baldiwala. It was a beautiful poem. And if anyone, I have a copy of the poem. If anyone would like a physical copy, please feel free to reach out to me on my email, and I will be happy to share that beautiful poem.
We are about to sing a very special song. It really is an anthem of the movement for civil rights. And there were two, as Rabbi Mendelson had said earlier, there was a lot of folk musicians involved in that movement. And amongst them were two friends of mine, very dear friends, and one who just passed last week, Peter Yarrow, and Theodore Bickel, of blessed memory. And they knew the Torah. They knew that in the Torah it said there's one law for everyone, the stranger and the resident. One law for all of us. And we are told countless times to take care of the needy, the downtrodden, those in need we are responsible for. So I dedicate this We Shall Overcome, this anthem, which is in your books. And I think for an anthem we should stand, if that's okay with everyone. And we have our choir from Greater Zion Church here with us as well, singing this. And I'll never forget, Theodore Bickel was on our very stage, on our very bima, with his cane, because he could hardly walk. It was the year that he passed away. And there's a picture of him that I actually posted to Facebook. And he took his cane and he hit it on the floor and said, "We shall overcome." So let's sing it with all of our hearts and sing it with that memory of great people who worked together, Jews, African Americans, all of us together. We shall overcome.
White to share a closing blessing.
We shall overcome. And how do we do that? As we leave this gathering, this service of Shabbat, let us do so with our hearts full of compassion and our minds open to understanding. And as we reflect on the teaching of our faiths, whether that's Judaism, Islam, or Christianity, let us commit ourselves to being instruments of peace within our neighborhoods, our communities, our city, our state, and our world. May we embrace the diversity among us as a strength, recognizing that each person, all people, are created in the image of God, and they are deserving of love and respect. As Dr. King inspired us to dream of a world where justice prevails, may we all work together towards that vision by loving our neighbors as ourselves. Let us practice peace, justice, and unity. May it be within us, may it be among us, and may it flow from us. Amen.
May be seated. This was a really beautiful evening. I want to thank everyone who put it together, especially Cantor Jenni Asher, who, without her, none of this would happen. Of course, Rabbi Vogel, Rabbi Camras, Hazzan Stein. It's great to have you back here as well. Hazzan Smith, Pastor Hines, Pastor White, Pastor Fisher, Fatima. Where did Fatima go? There you go. Thank you. We had, the Shepherd of the Valley choir members here, the Greater Zion Choir. I mean, just absolutely amazing. Hazzan Mimi, sorry, Hazzan Mimi in the back there, sorry. We had Lazer Cohen on guitar. Roger Treece on piano. Jon Redwood percussion. DaQuan Robinson bass. And most importantly, I want to thank all of you for showing up, for filling this sanctuary, filling all of our hearts. The Hamakom choir, too, as well. Thank you, sorry. Fumani
And
Thomas,
Fumani
all of
Thomas-Schwartz
them.
on tambourine.
We're going to be, in just a few moments, we're going to be, there's a beautiful onik, because what is a Jewish celebration or service without tons of food? So in just a few moments after our concluding song, we will all go into the social hall for some delicious food. But I will invite the choirs who were here and joined us to just remain just for a few moments after. We'll continue with Olam Chesed Yibaneh, I will build this world with love.
You can find these words in here, I promise. I will build this world from love. Yada da 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 yada da da. And you will build this world from love. Yada da. And if we build this world from love, yada da da da, yada da da. God will build this world from love, yada da da da, yada da da. I will build this world from love, yada da da da, yada da.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. You're going to join us. We're going to join the Onik. Come on, the choir will have you come up and join us for a moment. And Shabbat Shalom, everybody.